Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, we're currently in the midst of a significant outbreak of a type of Ebola that has no authorized treatment or vaccine. The outbreak is occurring in a region of the world that really is highly insecure, and in the wake of the administration's withdrawal from the World Health Organization, the dismantling of USAID, and the State Department's restructuring of global health engagements, impacting the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It is now my understanding that the State Department is now rushing millions of dollars for the response. I would have preferred for funding to be spent on preparedness and detection, just as you outlined in your global health strategy. But here we are, with a growing case counts and people dying. In 2014, in an op-ed, you wrote that it was, quote, inexcusable, end quote, that no senior official had been designated to lead the U.S. Ebola response under President Obama. And today, there is no single designated lead. And the senior National Security Council position responsible for coordinating infectious disease and biosecurity is vacant. Mr. Secretary, who is in charge of the Ebola response, and how is that different from what you called inexcusable in 2014?
Yeah. Well, it's different in a couple ways. First of all, our response has actually been faster than the response in 2014, both in the ability to flow funds to our partners in the region and in standing up all kinds of facilities. Let me answer the second question first and then get back to the first. We are, at this time, it's an interagency process in which multiple agencies are involved in this response. The U.S. State Department's taking a lead in some aspects of it, but even Department of War is involved in the sense of flowing, for example, the standing up of this clinic, this observation post in Kenya that will allow us to observe exposed Americans or suspected exposures for 21 days. If they are infected, those Americans will be transported to a treatment facility somewhere in Europe or maybe stateside. If after 21 days are not infected, they continue home. We're standing up that facility. But we flowed, I believe, well over $200 million to partners in this response. This is not a scramble. This is something that broke out in a rural area of a war-torn country and was underreported for over a month. Not because of anything other than the fact that it was in a rural area in a war-torn country that was highly unstable. On your first point about who's in charge, one of the things that's being discussed in the interagency is whether we need to stand up a specific individuals for this specific case. And that's been proposed. There are a couple people being considered. I don't want to use the term Ebola czar, but someone with the qualifications to sort of serve full-time in the coordination of the interagency. In the interim, the interagency has a daily meeting on this, and we at the State Department have a task force 24/7 on it as well.
But it would be in keeping with what you talked about in 2014, to have a single person in charge. It's always better to have a point person. I think you would agree.
Well, ultimately, you're trying to coordinate
working
multiple
with the agencies.
Yeah.
Because it has to be interagency. But there is one person who is coordinating them, and the information flows through. So apparently, you are thinking about doing that. I think it would be sooner than later. And I would just say that I think in the wake of withdrawing from World Health and dismantling of USAID, I think it has put us in a position of really trying to play catch up on this because we should have learned from 2014. Let me just, last year you testified that, quote, no children are dying on my watch, end quote. Due to the termination of USAID, it has been estimated that the total number of additional child deaths is more than 500,000. While we'll never know the exact number of deaths, I believe that there have been additional child deaths from diarrhea, from malnutrition, from pneumonia, from malaria, and HIV. I would hope that we would really not accept the consequences of the termination of these programs, because it is unacceptable to see that kind of death and destruction, but that we will have learned that we need some of these programs and the apparatus to be in place that help us to prevent these illnesses and be able to respond rapidly so that we can be in the position of the United States of preventing death, particularly amongst the children of the world. With that, Mr. Chairman, I
Thank you,
yield
Ranking
back.
Member. And
Well, I just say this number keeps getting thrown around. I dispute that. Those numbers are nowhere near reality. That's not reality. That's not a reality that 500,000
Well, I
people,
would
that
be happy to try to document it, but
700,000
Mr. Chairman, my time has expired.
Well, what about my
Thank-
time?
Well,
Do I get time to
that's-
respond, or I just have to
I
listen?
think, I think it's fair for him for the Secretary just for a quick response.
Mr. Chairman?
The question was asked, and we've been going a
Fine.
little bit
And-
over.
And then if that's the case, I can go back and
No, no,
take a look
we're
at all
just-
the areas in which this is documented, what the losses are,
ranking
because I
member.
have that information.
Thank you. The Ranking Member, you can always submit that to the record if you well desire. and
Well,
we-
I just want to
we accept
respond to
it.
that point. 'cause
Let's just
it's
give a
important.
quick response, and then
Yeah,
we'll
the
move
quick
on.
response is this. No country in the world spends more money, not even close, than the United States does on humanitarian assistance. It's not even close. We spend more money, I believe, than the next 3 or 4 countries combined. So I would argue if there are such tragic cases happening, and I'm sure there are around the world, it's not because we're not spending enough money, it's because the rest of the world is not spending enough money.
Mr. Chairman, 126,000 children died from diarrhea,
If I can ask the ranking member-
155,000 from
I
malnutrition.
can ask for Ranking Member to suspend, please.
Well,
We've-
but we gave the gentleman a time
Well,
and
it was-
to
you-
challenge
If I can ask-
documented information.
But how is
If I-
diarrhea?
Wait,
solely the
hold on,
responsibility of the United
order.
States?
Because the programs that deal
The
with
ranking
that
member-
have been
The
dismantled.
We
ranking
spend more
member-
money than
I
anybody
hear
else.
you, Mr. Chairman,
Thank
and
you.
I want to be
Thank you.
responsive. I
Thank you.
yielded, I ended at my 5 minutes.
We will continue.
I
think
ended with my 5 minutes.
you got your questions. The Secretary, I think, answered it. Now we will go to Mr. Molinar.